The Swadeshi movement sought to oppose British rule and encourage the ideas of self-help Swadeshi interest, national education and as of Indians language to fight for Swaraj. The radicals adopted mass mobilizations and boycott of British institutions and goods. Some individuals also began to suggest that revolutionary violence would be necessary to overthrow British rule. The opening decided of the 20th century were marked by other developments as well. Next, a group of Muslim landlords and Nawab formed the All India Muslim Leagues and Dhaka in 1906. The league supported the partition of Bengal. It desired separate electorates for Muslim, a demand consented by the government in 1909. Some seats in the councils were now reserved for Muslims who would be elected by Muslim voters. Next, this tempted politicians to gather a following by distributing favors of their own religious groups. Next, meanwhile, the Congress split in 1907. The moderates were opposed to the use of boycott. They felt that it involved the use of force. After the split, the Congress came to dominated by the moderates with Tilak's followers functioning from outside. Next, the two groups reunited in December 1915. Next year, the Congress and the Muslim League signed the historic Lucknow Pact and decided to work together for representative government in the country. Next, after 1919, the struggle against British rule gradually became a mass movement involving peasants, tribals, students, and women in large number, and occasionally factory worker as well. Next, certain business groups too began to actively support the Congress in the 1920s. Why was this so? Next, the First World War altered the economic and political situation in India. It led to a hug rise in the defense expenditure of the governments of India. The governments in turn increased taxes on individual incomes and businesses profits, increased military expenditure, and the demand for war supply led to a sharp rise in price, which created great difficulties for the common people. On the other hand, business groups reaped fabulous profits from the war. Next, as you have seen, the war created a demand for industrial goods, jute, bag, cloth, rails, and caused a decline of imports from other countries into India. Next, so Indian industries expanded during the war, and Indian business groups began to demand greater opportunities for development. Next, the war also led the British to expand their army. Villages were prescribed to supply soldiers for an allied cause. A large number of soldiers were sent to serve abroad. Next, many returned after the war with an understanding of the ways in which implicit powers were exploiting the peoples of Asia and Africa, and with a desire to oppose colonial rule in India. Next, furthermore, in 1917, there were revolutions in Russia. News about peasants and workers' struggles and idea of socialism circulated widely in spring Indian nationalists. Next, it is in these circumstances that Mahatma Gandhi emerged as a mass leader. As you may know, Gandhiji, aged 46, arrived in India 1915 from South Africa, having led Indians in the country in non-violent march against recessed restrictions. He was already a respected leader now internationally. His South African campaign had brought him in contact with various types of Indians, Hindu, Muslim, Parsis, and Christians, Gujaratis, Tamil, and North Indians, and upper classes, merchants, lawyers, and workers. Next, Mahatma Gandhi spent his first year in India traveling throughout the country, understanding the people, their needs in the overall situation. Next, revolutionary violence, the use of violence to make a radical change within society. Next, in 1905, Curzon pretends Bengal. At that time, Bengal was the biggest province of British India and included Bihar and parts of Orissa. The British argued for dividing Bengal of regions of administrative conversions. But what did administrative conversions mean? Whose conveyance did is represent? Clearly, it was closely tied to the interests of British official and businessmen. Even so, instead of removing the non-Bengali area from the provisions, the provision separated East Bengal, merged in with the Assam. Perhaps the main British motives were a curtails and influence of Bengal politicians and the split of the Bengal people. Next, the partition of Bengal influenced over all our India, all sections of the Congress, the moderates and the radicals, as they may to call, opposed it. Large public meeting and demonstrations were organized, and novel method of mass protest development